Alright, this is a quick tip on how to remove scratches from plastic. I've learned this in sewing machine maintenance. We live in a plastic world nowadays. Everything's made of plastic. The outer cases, sewing machines and stuff is made of plastic. Sometimes you get scratches and stuff in your plastic items that you would prefer not to be there. So this is a way to quickly remove them. What you're gonna need is you're gonna need sandpaper, 800 grit. You could use as low as 500 grit, but I'd be real careful with that because you don't want to put deep scratches in your plastic. It's hard to get to buff it out. Then you're going to want at least 1,000 grit. I've got 3,000 grit, but at least 1,000 grit sandpaper. And then you're going to use a rubbing compound, like you use on a car. So I've got the turtle wax rubbing compound. You can get this. I get it at Walmart in the auto section. And then you're going to want a good wax. I use, here we go, Mother's Carnauba wax. It doesn't have to be this. I use the Carnauba wax because I use it on the older sewing machines, the old Black Singers and Franklins and stuff, and as well it works really well on the tan and brown ones also. So that's what I use for that anyway. And you're going to want a little bit of water because this works best when you're using water. So as you can see, I've got a scratch right here. I used a little bit of a red marker to really outline it so you can see it. You're gonna put a little bit of water on that because the water really helps the sandpaper. Then you're going to take your 800 grit sandpaper and you're going to sand that out. You want to kind of go wide with your rubbing because you don't want to create a groove. You don't want something that's real noticeable. And depending on how deep your cut is or your scratch, it may take a few minutes. But just make sure you get a good even sand on it, and like I say, make sure you use the water because that's going to drastically speed it up, speed up the process. Otherwise you get a lot of dry dust that builds up in your sandpaper, and it can be hard to get out when that happens. I made this a little deeper than I intended to. But it's coming out pretty good. The main thing is, the first is to get the scratch out of it. And then we can buff it up from there. You can see how much plastic's coming off here. That'd be a huge amount of dust. Huge. Of course, most scratches aren't that deep, although they can be. You can get some pretty deep scratches, and this one's almost gone. Let's see if I and get to another piece of the sandpaper. If you use heavier sandpaper when you're doing this part right here, you'll put some pretty heavy scratches in the plastic that can be tough to get out. So you want to be real careful. I don't normally go any more coarse than 800 grit just because of that. Even if it takes a few minutes longer, you get some heavy scratches in there. It's going to take a lot longer than this because you got to get all the scratches out. This is actually coming out well, but I can't feel it anymore. So if I hadn't used a marker on it, which normally you won't use a marker on your scratches, then you probably wouldn't be able to see it. I imagine the marker probably soaked into the plastic a little bit. I want to make sure it's completely gone. Drying out. Wow, that marker really got into there. I guess I can still kind of feel the scratch there a little bit. Yeah, you gotta make sure that you want that scratch completely gone at this point. Whatever it is, you don't want to be able to see it, feel it, or anything. So this takes more work than all the rest of it. Getting that scratch gone. And making sure that you kind of go wide so that you don't have a groove, because in the end, if you just got a groove up and down that, you're gonna see it. When the light's right, you're gonna be able to see it. This piece of plastic is off of one of the sergers that I've got, one of the old sergers that I've got for parts. So looks like it's starting to disappear. Yeah, it's getting there slowly. Yeah, it's going. It's going. We're getting it there. This is the hardest and most time-consuming part of it. If you use a heavier grit sandpaper, like I say, then a little bit further down the line, you'll be working a lot harder than this to get rid of all the tiny scratches that you put in it. So, even though this may take a little bit more work, I wouldn't recommend going much heavier on your sandpaper. Definitely no more than 500, and then don't get too crazy when you're sanding it. Man. It is getting there. We are almost there. Yeah, the water actually helps a lot, even though it may not seem like it here. It helps a ton. It makes this whole process a lot quicker. There we go. It's almost gone. And then I'm gonna show you something else when I get this done. It'll be real quick. Another little trick. Just make sure that your scratch is completely gone, because if you don't get it out at this stage, then you will see it before we're done. Alright, let's see what we got. See if we're gone. It's still there, just a hair. I want it to be gone, so alright, let's see what we got now. Alright, there it is, it's gone. So now you can see that that's gone. You can see all the scratch marks and stuff from using that sandpaper, how dull it looks. If I get this under the light, you can see how it shines where I haven't sanded it, but then where I've sanded it, it's just real dull. So, right? Alright, so now you're going to use your 1,000, or in my case 3,000 grit. I prefer the 3,000 grit because it does a better job, makes it a little easier. But 1,000 grit will work just fine too. So what you're doing here is you're trying to, just get you put a lot of heavier sand marks in that with the 800 grit. You're wanting to reduce those and make it less noticeable, so it doesn't look quite so heavy like sanding. When you get over 1,000 grit sandpaper, that actually starts doing some polishing. As crazy as that sounds, it does. And then the higher you go, the better, more polishing it'll do. But you want to make sure you get a get this real good right here with this. Make sure that you've gotten all the sand marks and stuff out of it so you can't see them, because otherwise when we finish it up you'll see the scratches. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, that's looking pretty decent. There may be a few scratches in it, but I think for these purposes this will work. All right, so then you're going to take your rubbing compound right here, and you're going to put that on it and rub that in. And this is like a really fine sanding process, basically, is what it is. A lot finer than most any sandpaper that you can get. And it rubs it helps to get rid of all the rest of the sand marks all the sand marks that you just put in it with the higher grit sandpaper, the 3000 that I used. If you've got heavier scratches in it from a heavy sandpaper, you'll definitely see them right here. They will, as soon as you start doing this rubbing compound will fall right into them, and you can see them even at this stage. So table makes all kinds of noise. Make sure that you've got it all rubbed out really good, so that you're basically creating a shiny surface here. You'll see here in a minute where it's looking a lot shinier than it was. I should have showed you what it looked like after the 3000 grit, but anyway. And you can do even more than this if you want. But you can see here that it's already, there we go. Okay, so you can see it already shining now. All the sand marks are gone out of it. As you can see, the mark, the scratch is gone. Trying to get, there we go. So now, and this looks good right here. It really does, but we can make it look a little bit better. And you can make it shinier than this as well. I mean, it looks really good now, but you rub that rubbing compound more, and you'll get a higher shine to it as well. So then you're going to take your wax, and this is it's twofold. It shines this surface up some more, but it also removes any of that rubbing compound that you just put on there, because that if you got that any cracks or anything, it really looks like crap. It'll dry up and you'll see it. So put a little wax on it and rub it in. Normally you'll rub it till it starts to dry. You don't want to rub it after it's dried. You just want to wipe it off. But normally you'll rub it till it starts to dry. And going in a circular motion during most of this is your best bet. Makes it easier to shine up. especially when you're using the sandpapers. There we go, it's starting to dry up a little bit, and I should have all that rubbing compound off. Let's clean that up. Okay, there you go. There it is. So you can see now how you can't see any sand marks in it. Nice and shiny. Looks great. Can't even tell that it ever had a scratch in it, right? So that's how to pretty quickly take it out. Take out scratches. Now I want to show you something else. If you buy something, you know, a lot of places like thrift stores and stuff or whatever, or maybe you got kids and they take a Sharpie or some other permanent marker to your plastics. Stuff's hard to get off. Now this, I just put that on there a while ago so it hadn't really dried, but you know what I'm talking about. This will take it off very quickly, even if it's been on there a long time. And it's that rubbing compound. Just take a little bit of that rubbing compound, put on there, rub it in. So you've taken soap or whatever to marks and stuff on plastic and it won't come off. Just use a little bit of that rubbing compound on there and it will take it off fairly quickly. You can see that's gone. There's actually a scratch in the plastic where some of that ink got to. So I may not get it out of that scratch. All right. Yeah, it came out pretty good. There's a slight amount in it. I don't know if you'll see it on camera or not. I can see it. I could take the sandpaper and get it out pretty quickly. But there you go. That mark's completely gone. And again, the scratch is gone and the plastic's not all scraped up and messed up looking. All right. I hope this helps y'all, and y'all have a great day. Thanks.